This video is sponsored by Sunflex UK. Have you been trying to buy the ideal family home but can't seem to find the right property? Maybe you've decided to buy a house and then build an extension to make it work for you. In this video, I'm going to look at this beautiful house in Yorkshire, which I was asked to review a few months ago. The house is amazing, but it wasn't ideal for my client, and they needed to know if it was possible to make the changes they needed to suit their lifestyle. Turns out it wasn't. Stay tuned to find out why and what advice I gave them to create a more suitable home. If you are new to the channel, my name is Neil and I've been a self-employed architect in the UK since 2009. And alongside this YouTube channel, I also run reallifearchitect.co.uk, where anyone can book a consultation with me to discuss altering and extending a home or building a new house in the UK. There's a playlist at the end of this video where you can see some of these consultations. In May 2023, I was contacted by a client who was thinking about buying this house. I have their permission to make this video, but I'm not going to name them or give away the exact location. The client was willing to pay the £1.5 million asking price and could afford to spend a six-figure budget to make the property perfect for them. Their ideal home had to accommodate extended family, while also providing security and privacy for everyone. My client wanted to create their own community and needed to understand the possibility of extending the house and also if building separate homes on the site would be feasible. The house comes with a 7-acre plot of land, so space is not an issue. Extending the existing house would not be a problem. There are no immediate neighbours to overlook or overshadow, and any extension won't cause a loss of amenity to the local community. But extending the house on its own wouldn't solve the client's issues. They needed separate dwellings for various members of their extended family, not one huge house. So the first option we considered was creating ancillary accommodation. This is more usually called a granny flat or annex. Now, the exact definition of ancillary accommodation is vague, but they are usually self-contained properties, smaller than the main house, and crucially, they cannot be legally separate. They don't get their own postal address or separate title deed. They can't be sold off as an individual unit. They are forever part of the house, even if they are physically separate. In my experience, planners won't allow any property to have more than one ancillary accommodation, and that wasn't enough for my client. They needed several family-sized homes on the site. So the next option we looked at was building actual homes. From a planning officer's point of view, this would transform the site from a single-family home into something more like a housing estate. That kind of development isn't impossible, but it would raise all sorts of awkward and potentially expensive issues. Would the junction with the public road have to be upgraded? How big would the drainage system need to be? Would a surface water attenuation pond be necessary? Would this development set an undesirable precedent? Leaving aside the cost, it could take a couple of years to fight this through the planning system and then get it built. And that's if everything went according to plan. Now, I'm sure some people watching this might find my client's living arrangements unusual, but living in close proximity to extended family used to be very common in pre-industrial Britain. In the past, poorer families often had several generations under one roof, while the upper classes could afford to have relatives live nearby in separate accommodation. And that got me thinking. My client was unlikely to find a modern property that met their needs, and building a mini housing estate would come with huge risks and a long time frame. But what if there was a pre-industrial typology that could fit their needs? Turns out there is. It's the traditional country house. Okay, so maybe not Downton Abbey, something a bit smaller. Maybe a country farmhouse with habitable structures nearby, like this project of mine from 2015. A farmhouse with steadings and a cottage attached. I was involved in a full refurbishment of this property. The cottage was made into a rental, and we would have converted the steadings into habitable accommodation, but the budget didn't stretch that far. The house was sold again last year, and these images are from Savills' website. They were the estate agent for this property and also for the house my client considered in Yorkshire. I suggested they contact Savills to see if they had any suitable homes on their books. Many of these properties are sold off-market. Knowing the right estate agent is important if you are looking for a country house. This kind of property would be ideal for my client. Large farmhouses with cottages or steadings appear on the UK property market fairly regularly. They aren't cheap, but my client had the means to buy one, and if they took their time, they might be able to find a property where the steadings had already been converted. They could just move themselves and their extended family in and start living the country life. No need to wait and no need to spend money on new designs and construction. My client liked this idea. They had become convinced they needed to alter an existing property or build a brand new one. The fact there might already be a solution out there hadn't occurred to them. And that is the benefit of consulting with an architect. We are trained to look at each client as an individual and address their needs rather than provide a one-size-fits-all solution. I like to think my advice adds value and that I am being impartial. I'm not trying to talk a client into building something just so I can get the design fees. My consultation service is not intended to bring in clients for my regular architecture practice. It's just me giving people the benefit of my experience. If you are considering buying land to build a house in the UK or just altering an existing home, you can book a consultation with me via the Real Life Architect website. I've put a link in the description. Please talk to me before you buy anything and read the terms and conditions before you book the consultation. If you are designing a new home or extending your existing house, you should also check out the sponsor of this video. Sunflex UK design and manufacture high-quality aluminium windows and doors. I've specified them on several of my own projects over the years, and they offer a great balance between cost and quality. I made this video about their bifold doors, including the costs. You should check it out. I've put a link up here and in the description. My name is Neil, and I have been a self-employed architect in the UK since 2009. I regularly make videos about the reality of altering and extending private homes, including videos like this one where I look at real consultations. Check out this playlist if you want to see more, and if you enjoy my content, please subscribe to the channel.